Good morning, everybody. I got my coffee. I got my vape. Let's talk a little. So I'm up here in the mountains today. I'm doing a coffee with Phil in the mountains at 8,500 altitude. It's amazing. It's amazing. Wish you guys could be here. Let's take a sip. That's good. So today I want to talk a little bit about change. That was a big challenge for me all of my childhood, most of my adult life. Change just didn't deal well with it. I actually There was times when we had major changes in the family when I was a kid that it had actually put me in bed sick. It made me so nervous. I've gotten out, so I really enjoy it. I think the difference is the mindset, just the way I thought about it. I used to think that change was something that could be avoided, that things could be kept just the same and they're comfortable, predictable. I've talked about that before. That's a natural, normal thing. People, it's safe to be in an environment that is predictable. Unfortunately, the idea that you can control change or stop change is a fallacy, and it hurts a lot of people. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, if you're not growing, you're dying. Change doesn't change. There's no such thing as no change. Change always happens. If you're not moving forward and you're not growing and you're trying to stay the same and stay right where you are, you know what? Life is still changing, and you will actually start to decay at that point. And lost my train of thought. One concept of status quo, it's kind of like fair. They're human concepts, and they don't exist in reality. There's no such thing as status quo in reality. There's no such thing as fairness in reality. Let's take the canoe analogy. If you take your paddle and you're sitting back and you're in a river and you're wanting to go upstream, that river is going to actually take you. If you don't paddle against that river, it's going to take you backwards. Now, going with the flow is very important. You have to be able to adapt to the changes. You have to be flexible. You can work in the changes to go in the direction that you want to go into. Unfortunately, the idea that we can actually control our fate is kind of a fallacy. We can control our attitude of our fate, and we can control how we use the fate, how we use change, how we use the currents of life. So we need to be constantly paddling against it. We need to be going, constantly growing, wherever we are, in our business, in our personal, in our health, in our relationships, everything you can think of. If you like to play poker, you got to practice. You want to play guitar, you've got to practice. And you've got to come up with what they call muscle memory. Now, muscle memory has to do with in athletics or playing the guitar. It's practicing those jump shots, practicing those free throws, practicing those scales, so that your fingers know exactly how far they're supposed to stretch, where they're supposed to go to, when they're supposed to press down on the string, when they're supposed to let go. It takes constant practice to get better and better at that. And realistically, until you have that muscle memory, you can never master anything. I think they say it takes 10,000 times doing something before you become a master at it. And that is so that you don't have to think about what your muscles are doing. You don't have to think about what's going on, what you're doing, what your habits are. They just happen naturally. And when that happens, then your creativity can kick in, because then you can be thinking about what can I do with this? Then you can think about, what is the music telling me to do? And you already know how to do it. Your hands already know what to do. And that's when you get creative, and that's when you create great things. And it's in everything, business, relationships, everything. Now, one thing that I have noticed is habits, creating good habits. You can create good habits or you create bad habits. A lot of, I think, and I can't prove this, but in my experience, that if I'm not creating good habits, then I automatically create bad habits, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. So if you decide later in life that you want to correct something, you want to create a good habit, don't worry about trying to fix the bad habit. Just create a good habit that takes its place. But your muscle memory or your memory will forget. If it's used to, if you're doing things all your whole entire life, if you're not constantly active, even if you create a good habit, your mindset's going to forget. Who you think you are is going to forget. With my muscles, I've had to work really, really hard to become really flexible because of the condition that I have. But every single morning I go to stretch and my muscles go, what are you doing? What's going on here? But then after I get them up there and I'm starting to stretch, they go, oh, that's right. I remember. We're flexible now. That happens to me. I made a video about my social phobias. If I don't interact with people and I'm all by myself for a little bit of time, and then I go to interact with people, my subconscious, my picture of who I am, kind of falls back to what I was used to for my whole entire life. The scared, phobic person. And then when I start to get into the working with people, that's why I've got habits that I will just jump into. If I see somebody, I will just jump into saying hi to them. I won't wait for them to say hi to me. I reach my hand out because that's a habit that I know that through muscle memory that I can do, and then the rest of me goes, oh, that's right. I'm not a scared person anymore. I don't have phobias anymore. I love people, and I get along great with them, and I really enjoy interacting with them. So, anyway, another sip. How about it? So I guess that's it for today. I'm going to enjoy my vacation up here in the mountains, and I'll be talking to you again. So I had the coffee with Phil in the mountains yesterday, but I was out here on the porch looking out, and I noticed that there's a perfect example of change all around me here. Let me show you. You see all those pine trees up there? They're all dead. A couple of years ago, up here they had what's called beetle kill, and it's a type of beetle that attacks the pine trees, and it just devastated the pine trees up here, which is probably, I don't know, 80% of the trees, maybe more, and people freaked out, and they're still freaking out 2 years later, that because it's something that they're used to. Those trees have been there, I don't know, a long time. We have diaries here in the cabin that people who stay here fill out, and we found them all the way back to the 50s. I know that this cabin's been standing here since the 1800s. So I would say a lot of those pine trees have been here maybe for hundreds of years. And the landscape has changed. It's changed drastically. You still have other trees like aspens, and they're really pretty and things like that, but you have a lot of just brown death, and they're starting to clear those off now. They're starting to the wood's still good, but the trees are dead, so they're starting to sell licenses to lumber companies to come in and harvest those, and it's just going to be barren, and people are freaking out because they're going to lose their trees. They're really, really freaking out. It's the end of the world, but actually, it's nature. Things like that happen, and what happens is it clears the way for new growth, because these big old trees have been blocking the sun. They've been taking a lot of the nutrients, and so it's been limiting a lot of the other types of trees, the spruces and things like that. And what'll happen is, yeah, the landscape's going to change, and it's going to take a while before it gets to this again. But that's nature, and it's growth, and it's giving way to new growth, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be different. It's going to be change. I'm going to take another sip. So yeah, I thought I would add that in. You see it in nature all the time. People just freak out um, that that nature is being destroyed, and I am number one advocate that it is our God-given duty to be good stewards of the land and nature, because we do have a lot more deliberate effect on our surroundings. Um, but nature is all about having effect on your surroundings, and the life that's there, um, the life that's there, definitely has a effect on the direction of the outlook of the landscape. But this big old world here has been around a lot longer than we have, and it's going to be here a lot longer than we after we're gone. What tends to happen with nature, it's amazing. It's amazing this world that God made, because nature will survive. It will find a way. It if one thing is affecting it in a negative way, you know what happens? Uh, the earth doesn't go away. That thing goes away because nature works it out. So they can't survive anymore. We see it all the time in ecosystems where you have predators that overpopulate, and then there's not enough food. They die off. And then the other life overpopulates, and they're short on food and they die out, but they also bring back more food for the predators, and it's a balance that happens. Some of those balances happen over millions of years, and unfortunately, since we can't conceive of that, we freak out. But yes, we do need to not affect our world in bad ways. We need to be good stewards. We need to preserve this kind of thing if we want to enjoy this kind of thing, the nature. But we don't need to be freaking out and worried. I think a lot of people give us a lot more credit than we deserve. I don't think that if we deliberately, if we put it in our mind that we're going to use all of our technology to destroy this world, I don't think we could do it. I really don't. Not that we couldn't figure out how it could be done, but I guarantee we would not survive it long enough to affect the world in a negative way. So that would take something a lot bigger than we are, and there's been a lot bigger than we are that's affected this world, and it's made change. So another part of change, and I'm not going to get into it a lot more because that's a whole nother discussion, is death. I think that may be one of the number one biggest fear of change, our death and death of the people around us. I have been blessed. It's a blessing that I thought was a curse at first. One of my sisters was diagnosed with neuropathy. She was diabetic. She is diabetic, and this was, gosh, I'm thinking 8 or 9 years ago, and she was given anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years to live. And we've been blessed that she is still going strong. She's affecting our life. But one of the blessings that I had with this journey was it brought us really close. So, and she is like me. She doesn't give up. There's no stopping her. She's gonna, as long as there's breath in her body, she's gonna find a way to have a productive, enjoyable life with people and things around her. And she's just an amazing, amazing person. And I got to experience the day to day for probably about 2 years. We spoke every single day, and I got to enjoy the ups and the downs, but her journey of how she is dealing with the fact that she is mortal, and making the most out of every single day, every single experience, and that's amazing, because if you think about it, we're all dying. You don't get into this world, you're going to make it out safe. We're all dying. It's how we spend the day-to-days. So, hey, I've got a visitor. Hi there, sweetie. Hi there, pretty. Hey, you want to say hi to my friends? You want to say hi to my friends? So anyway, getting rid of the fear of death was a major milestone in my life. But that is fodder for another discussion. That's it for this rampage of speech. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment, and hit the ringy-dingy thing so you're notified next time I make a video. And as always, no matter what tune that life plays you, always find your groove. Thanks for hanging out with me in the mountains. Come back and see me.